So good morning everyone. Today's class we are going to discuss about how blockchain is used for improving the quality of life for people who are living in cities. So let us say like blockchain used for smart cities. So in case you are going to use the technology to improve the quality of life and optimize the urban services which are rendered to people living in the city, then you call that city as a smart city. So there's a lot of projection that is happening on, and there's a lot of initiatives that is taken by the government to improve the quality of services. For example, voting systems, supply chain management, and then energy consumption, transportation, etc. and etc. Waste management systems. So we'll see what is meant by a smart city. So in case if it is possible to integrate the devices, the systems, for example, transportation system, for example, all energy systems, for example, all supply chain management systems, right? So if there's a possibility where the technology can help in improving the citizens' quality of life, optimize the usage of resource, create a more better and an efficient community, then you can call that as a smart city. How can possible? How is it possible? So you'll have to integrate the devices and systems, and you'll have to collect data from all these devices, analyze them, give a better and the best service to the people living there. Then in that case, if it's done, you say that you have converted your city to a smart city. For example, one important or a good example of smart city is Singapore. So it has actually implemented a lot of initiatives to enhance the living experience of its citizens. For example, the city has a better or one of the best transportation system that uses data and technology to manage traffic flow and reduce congestion. So that in spite of having the buses or the transports run in place where there is no public or there is no requirement, rather what is being done, it identifies in which area the transport is required, and accordingly the buses are routed. So that's a very small example. And similarly, smart waste management is another system that's implemented in Singapore. Now, another example of how Amsterdam is called as a smart city is, it is trying to take certain initiatives on reducing the carbon footprint. So what's meant by this carbon footprint? So it has a manufacturing sector, okay, and it releases the carbon into the environment. What is the impact? There's a lot of global heat that is generated, right? Global warming. So an alternative is every industry, they have a check. If it releases a certain amount of carbon waste into the environment, they should plant this many amount of trees, or they should do something so that it compensates, or they should at least have a check, like they go for the best manufacturing services where the carbon footprint is minimized. Okay, so Amsterdam has taken an initiative. What did they do? They have a smart grid system which is integrating renewable energy along with the currently available energy mix. So in spite of depending on fossil fuels only, the city is able to manage its electricity requirement and continuously supply electricity requirement for the people. Okay. And another example is smart lighting system. If at all there are people around, that is again sense using a sensor. The street lights are lit, the brightness can be changed. So their aim is to save energy and reduce light population. So all this has been implemented in Amsterdam. Now where comes this blockchain? Why do you really need a blockchain to implement this? So we know that blockchain is a decentralized distributed ledger. It stores records, transactions and information in all nodes or computers, and if there is any transaction requested, A block that represents the transaction is created. It is sent to all the nodes. All the nodes will validate and one node will finally say yes, it is right. Whichever node participated, they will be getting a small reward. We call this as mining. These people are called as miners, and once it's verified, the block gets added into the existing blockchain. We don't need to have any third party, like there is no server or there is no bank required. As and when something happens, there are people to monitor that, there are people to validate and store that data into the already existing distributed ledger. So if this system is going to be used when we are implementing smart city, how will it be helpful? For example, if I am going to take a database of all the buses that are run in a specific route, have it in a server, run some algorithm, define new routes as and when required, it is very good. If someone is tampering the data, if someone is holding the data, making some changes, it's going to affect a lot of public. So only now it is seen that which type of storage will help so that the data is secure. Nobody should be able to, they can look into it, but they should not be able to modify. So there comes blockchain. Okay, so smart cities require secure, transparent and decentralized technology to succeed. Yes, and one of the biggest challenges in smart city is you have to ensure that whatever data is collected and processed, nobody should be able to look into it. Like integrity and security of the data that is collected and processed is very, very important. So blockchain gives you a solution there. So by implementing blockchain based system, the smart cities can reduce the need for intermediaries. You don't want any third party at all to process the transactions. How can you create smart cities? You need to plan, you need to research properly, you need to go for collaboration. So first is identify areas where you can improve the quality of life. One area is waste management. The other important thing is energy supply. The next one is transportation. Okay, all these are 3 or 4 ideas that have been identified. Next one is you will have to go for some partnership. Who will help you? The blockchain developers, government agencies, academic institutions, private sectors. You will have to collaborate with all of them. Then choose the best technology, right? Demonstrate a small project, see whether it is working. Create a proof of concept to demonstrate that this blockchain can be used for example managing or maintaining your city's electricity requirement, right? Then engage with the community. So the citizens should be ready to get themselves involved, accept the technology and say yes, we'll follow it up, we'll take it up, right? And the 6th step is monitor and evaluate your pilot project. See if it needs some changes, some corrections. So if all this is being done, it is so easy that you can convert a city into a smart city. How did Singapore become a smart city? So the study says that government's leadership, innovative technology, community engagement, all these 3 only brought it up. You need a lot of funding, you need a lot of infrastructure, but apart from that, you should have got a technology based solution, you should have implemented that, people should have accepted, and all that is fine. Of course, the city becomes, or it can be called as a smart city. So Singapore has made a lot of investments in technology, including infrastructure, smart grid, electricity, okay, and then sensors, digital networks. Once this is done, you'll have to collect a lot of data, and then based on the data, some analysis should be done, and then based on the analysis, the services should be carried out accordingly. So what are the risks associated with smart cities? If you don't use blockchain, for example, I'm not going to use blockchain, I'm going to use any other system. In the absence of blockchain, smart cities will use centralized database. What will happen? lot of chances for cyber attack, lot of chances for data breaches. There's lots and lots chances for digital crime. So in a home, personal data is gone, financial information is gone, data related to infrastructure is gone. All this will give a lot of difficulty to citizens and to the city as a whole, right? So this is one big risk. Second risk is lack of transparency and accountability. So someone is trying to manipulate our data, or they've misused it, it was not detected. In case if such things are happening, what happens? You will lose the trust on the government. Yes, that is totally gone. And whatever the government says, like I'm doing all this for smart city initiative, as a smart city initiative, we won't accept it at all. So that's a second risk. The third one is, if you're not using blockchain, right, how are you going to store the data? How are you going to validate? What's the size of the database? How is it possible to maintain in one single server? What happens if the server crashes? Lots and lots and lots of questions. So it is better that all these data are stored in a blockchain. And the most important thing, anytime the server crashes, your data is gone. Someone steals your data, the data is gone. How will people believe us? So without blockchain, the smart cities will not be able to ensure the data's long-term security and preservation. So this is how governments can identify a city, take small measurements, and see how small services can be converted into a more efficient services, and thus convert it into a smart city. Thank you.